Episode 6 of House of the Dragon focuses on the consequences of the war spreading further across Westeros. Rhaenyra still controls King's Landing, but her position is becoming more difficult to maintain. Damon is struggling to control the City Watch. Secret enemies are killing her supporters, and the Greens are slowly building a new cause around Daeron. The episode is about the cost of ambition, the danger of isolation, and the way war changes people's relationships with power, family, and themselves. The episode begins with Criston Cole and his remaining soldiers entering what appears to be an abandoned military camp. They find the bodies of the rivermen lying across the ground, but Cole quickly realizes that something is wrong. His suspicion is correct. The soldiers are still alive and suddenly attack the Green Army. Criston and his men fight their way through the ambush, but once the battle ends, they realize they have walked directly into a trap. The rivermen surround them, led by Oscar Tully and Roderick Dustin. Criston understands that his army has lost. Instead of trying to escape, he chooses to fight. Before the battle begins, he takes Alicent's handkerchief from his pocket and wraps it around his sword. This is an important detail because it represents the person he has spent years fighting for. Alicent was the reason he became so consumed by anger and resentment after their relationship ended. Even after everything that has happened, he still carries a piece of her with him. Criston has spent much of the previous episode talking about wanting a glorious death. He wants to die in battle so that people will remember him as a great warrior. However, his death doesn't happen the way he imagines. He doesn't die in a dramatic sword fight against his greatest enemy. Instead, he is shot by an unseen archer. One arrow enters his body, another follows, and the final arrow strikes his face. This is important because it completely destroys the heroic death he wanted. Criston wanted to control his own story and die as a legendary warrior. Instead, his death is sudden and largely outside his control. His death therefore becomes the final punishment for his obsession with legacy. He spent years believing that his actions would make him a great man, but in the end, he couldn't control how his story ended. After the Gold Cloaks are murdered, Damon demands action. He wants to fly to Tumbleton and burn Ormund Hightower and his army. However, Mysaria argues against this because attacking Tumbleton would kill innocent people who are technically Rhaenyra's own subjects. This creates an important conflict between revenge and responsibility. Damon sees the problem as a military threat. Mysaria sees the people who would suffer because of the response. Rhaenyra eventually orders Damon to deal with the rebellion in King's Landing instead. However, Damon quickly discovers that the City Watch is no longer as loyal as it once was. Several Gold Cloaks refuse to continue because they fear leaving their families without fathers. This is an important moment because it shows that ordinary people are beginning to lose faith in the war. The nobles may talk about duty and loyalty, but the soldiers are thinking about their families. They're tired of dying for rulers who live safely inside castles. Damon eventually confronts one of the people responsible for the attacks. The man tells him that the rebels have no symbol, no official army, and no clear leader. They're simply people who believe in the cause. His words reveal a serious problem for Rhaenyra. A traditional army can be defeated. A castle can be captured. A dragon can burn an enemy camp. But an idea is much harder to destroy. The man tells Damon that killing them will only encourage more people to join. This is why the rebellion is so dangerous. This connects to the earlier graffiti in King's Landing. Rhaenyra tried to remove criticism from the walls, but the ideas behind the words didn't disappear. The same thing is happening here. The government can kill people, but it can't kill the anger that created the rebellion. Hugh's storyline is one of the most personal in the episode. After becoming a dragonrider, Hugh returns to Tumbleton to find his wife. He expects the moment to be emotional and joyful, but she's angry with him. While Hugh was away trying to claim a dragon and become important, his wife and her family were left to suffer. Her brother has died, and she has been forced to survive without him. Hugh argues that he did everything for her. However, she makes it clear that what she actually needed was for him to stay with her. This is a powerful contrast between what Hugh thought was important and what his wife actually needed. Hugh believed that becoming a dragon rider would give them a better life. But in the process, he abandoned the person he was supposedly doing it for. When he tries to force her to leave with him, she asks, "Who are you?" That question is important because Hugh has changed. He's no longer simply the ordinary man she knew. Power has given him a new identity, but it has also created distance between them. The episode suggests that ambition can change a person so much that even the people closest to them no longer recognize them. Rhaenyra discovers that Helaena is pregnant after they find them in the secret passage. Rhaenyra immediately understands the political danger. If Helaena gives birth to Aegon's child, that baby could become another possible heir to the throne. However, Rhaenyra doesn't immediately kill Helaena or the unborn child. Instead, she tightens their confinement. This shows that Rhaenyra is trying to avoid becoming the kind of ruler her enemies believe she is. She understands that killing a pregnant woman would make her look like a tyrant. But she also knows that politics may eventually force her to make that exact decision. The pregnancy, therefore, becomes a symbol of the conflict between human compassion and political survival. Rhaenyra may want to be merciful, but the situation continues to create reasons for her to become more ruthless. Rhaenyra tells Mysaria about Helena's pregnancy and asks if she knew about it. Mysaria lies. This is an important moment because Mysaria has always presented herself as someone who values information and survival. Her loyalty to Rhaenyra is real, but it's not unconditional. After Rhaenyra leaves, Mysaria arranges for the maid who helped Alicent and Helaena to be punished. This shows that Mysaria isn't simply betraying Rhaenyra. She's protecting herself and maintaining control over the information passing through the castle. Helena's visions continue to play an important role in the story. She has embroidered an image of Aemond lying naked in a pool of blood. This appears to represent his future death or the violence surrounding him. Helena's visions are interesting because they don't seem to give her control over the future. This creates a tragic contrast between knowledge and power. Knowing what might happen doesn't necessarily mean you can prevent it. Alicent wants to protect Helaena, but Helaena seems to understand that Aemond's death is coming. She also knows that Alicent will leave her to help Rhaenyra find him. When Alicent promises to return, the moment feels especially sad because Helaena knows how often promises have failed her family. Aemond wants to leave Harrenhal, but Alys warns him that doing so would probably lead to his death. She explains that Rhaenyra has more dragons, bounty hunters are searching for him, and Vhagar may no longer be nearby. Aemond ignores her advice until he's recognized by a stable boy. Alys kills the boy, which forces Aemond to realize something important. She could have killed him at any time. She had the opportunity to claim the bounty, but she chose not to. This makes Aemond question her true intentions. Alys then reveals the dragon eggs, including eggs connected to Dreamfire. This changes the balance of power in the story. Aemond has spent much of the season isolated and weakened. Alys offers him something that he desperately wants, a future. She tells him that they can create their own fortune and build something new together. The scene is seductive because Alys isn't simply offering romance. She's offering Aemond a new identity. He doesn't have to remain the wounded prince hiding in Harrenhal. He could become the founder of something new. Daeron's relationship with Gwaine shows how isolated he has become. Ormund has turned Daeron into a political tool. He expects the young prince to behave exactly as he wants, and Daeron admits that he feels like a puppet. This is one of the most honest moments from Daeron. He understands that Ormund is shaping him into a ruler, but he also understands that he's losing himself in the process. Gwaine recognizes this and feels guilty for leaving Daeron alone with Ormund. Daeron's question about whether Gwaine saw his mother in King's Landing is especially sad. Despite all the politics surrounding him, he is still just a young man who wants to know if his family is safe. This makes him different from many of the other characters. He's being pushed toward the throne, but he hasn't yet fully embraced the cruelty required to reach it. When the fake Baratheon envoys arrive, Ormund believes they have come to support Daeron. Gwaine quickly realizes that something is wrong. The men don't match the real Baratheons, and he understands that they're assassins. This moment shows that Gwaine has become more cautious after witnessing Criston Cole's disastrous campaign. He no longer blindly trusts the Green cause. Instead, he looks for the truth behind what people are saying. Gwaine saves Ormund and Daeron, but the victory also reveals how vulnerable the Green Army has become. Even the people claiming to be their allies may actually be enemies. The war is now filled with false identities, hidden loyalties, and deception. Aegon's conversation with Tyland is one of the most interesting scenes in the episode. Aegon asks whether Tylan believes that he's a terrible man. This question shows that, beneath his arrogance, Aegon is beginning to think about the person he has become. Larys has already told him that he was a terrible king and a terrible man. Now Aegon seeks confirmation from someone else. Tylan tries to answer without insulting him, but Aegon eventually decides that he doesn't want to hear the truth. He chooses to leave Westeros instead. This is important because Aegon isn't ready to truly change. He can recognize that he may be a bad person, but recognition alone isn't the same as taking responsibility. Alan and Corlys continue to struggle with their relationship. Corlys is angry that Rhaenyra refuses to legitimize Alan and Adam. Alan reminds him that Corlys himself took years to acknowledge his own sons. This forces Corlys to confront his hypocrisy. He expects Rhaenyra to make a decision that he was unwilling to make for most of his life. The relationship between Corlys and Alan reflects the wider theme of fathers failing their children. Many of the show's older characters have created emotional wounds that their children are now forced to carry. However, Corlys does begin to soften. He shares information with Alan and eventually decides to return to King's Landing. For perhaps the first time, Corlys recognizes that he has been absent for too long. Rhaenyra receives a message from Tumbleton, warning that if you kick this dog, it will bite you. This is a clear threat. It suggests that the Hightower forces aren't simply waiting to be defeated. They're prepared to fight back, and they may have more support than Rhaenyra expects. At the same time, Corlys' decision to return to King's Landing suggests that he understands how serious the situation has become. However, the episode immediately undercuts this moment when he's ambushed by men working for Ser Jon Roxton. This is an important ending because it shows how unstable the political situation has become. Rhaenyra is facing a growing rebellion in the city. Damon is struggling to control King's Landing. The Hightowers are still fighting. And now Corlys has been attacked by people whose motives are unclear. The war is no longer moving in one simple direction. Rhaenyra may have taken the capital, but she hasn't truly secured her rule. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.